talking about a Texas bill that would ban nearly all gender affirming care, including for trans adults. So, um,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Get it up out of here, huh? They ain't playing.
yeah. I'm gonna get the article up, but I got a few bullet points on it. These the bill, that they're talking about surgical and non-surgical treatments, even for adults, at any age, and they're even coming after the doctors that perform gender affirming care. So, you might get in trouble for trying to administer this kind of stuff. Uh, there's 70 anti-LGBT bills trying to get passed in Texas this year alone, and this is something that the Republicans, I feel like, are pushing as a distraction because they're not really strong on policy, if you ask me. But we could get into the article just to read a little bit. A bill introduced in Texas Senate is triggering alarm among LGBTQ plus advocates in the state, who say it would make nearly all gender affirming healthcare illegal, including both surgical and non surgical treatments, even for trans adults. We've seen several bills that would criminalize life saving health care for trans people. None go as far as this. Rachel Hill, the government affairs director of the advocacy organization Equality Texas, told CBS this bill bans any public funding for trans health care at any age and puts impossible constraints on medical professional and insurance providers, Hill added. Before we go any further, how does this sound to you so far? How's it rubbing you?
I mean, I'm really, I kind of agree with it because this is why it's crazy
Mhm.
how with transracialism and transgenderism, like it's crazy how you could be black, Chinese, uh, white, you can be all of that, but they'll label you either black, you know what I mean, or you're black because you got an ounce of blood in you. I mean, because you got black blood in you. But with the transgender, you can be whatever you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you can, if you want to be a man, you can change to be. Well, they're trying to stop it, but it's crazy that that needs to be more of a topic that we need to be bringing across because nobody's really black or white, right? Like, we're not really black, right? That's just a title, right? But transgender, you are male. It is male and female is actually facts, when you come out as a baby. So it's just crazy that they don't, that's something that's not a target, but we'll target everything about, a male or a female. Or we can change that. But, when it comes to race, you know, they don't even have these topics.
That's an interesting perspective, my guy. I think this is a little bit different than race. I'm not super clear on where you're going with that, but uh, gender affirming care, man, that's just this is just a medical procedure.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that
This is just a person doing what a doctor feels is best for them to do. A doctor, not somebody in the basement or just something that they dreamed up. There's people who have different health concerns than you do, different things going on inside of their mind, different things going on with their hormones than you do. Let, can,
would this be a mental issue too? Would
well,
you say?
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How much literature have you read about dysmorphia?
Not a lot.
So it's rather a new issue for you.
Yeah.
Well, I would recommend anybody just look into it, see what it is, see that this is backed by science, and honestly, this won't really affect your life in any way. Letting people get gender affirming a care that's like approved by a doctor, I don't see how that's going to make like do you can you think of a way how that's going to affect your life?
What?
People getting gender affirming care. People just doing what they want to do, what they feel is best for their bodies, their own bodies.
Yes, because we're seeing a rise in this kind of this kind of process. So my thing is to just make sure the kids are, you know, I don't want them to have to be so influenced. We're seeing a rise. The New York Times did a study. I ain't gonna go into the article, but it's a study that it's a rise in more and more people that want gender procedures like this done. So could this be the rise of this kind of function that you're talking about in people? Dysphoria, is that what you called it? Is that the name of it?
I think the term is dysmorphia.
Dysmorphia.
Let
Yeah.
me
So
see.
I would hate to. I don't know if that's rising, but I would hate for an influence to be on the young people where they feel like they couldn't accept themselves for who they are. I think loving yourself is important. And however you come, I feel like that's important. And when you don't, I just feel like it sucks for someone's mental if they don't love their self and who they are.
Um, yeah. So you want people to love themselves, correct?
Yeah, I don't want them to look at themselves and feel like it's a lot of that going on. Feel like they have to change something to fit into society so they can be accepted by people. I don't think that's cool for kids to have that pressure.
I don't think this has to do with pressuring kids to be something in society. I think it's this is just a procedure to help people be who they feel that they need to be out here in the world. And
Who they need
yeah,
to be. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Need to
really
be
I'm trying to
themselves.
put it in simple terms, and I
Right.
think that in life there's a lot of things about this that we don't know, and we don't want to be you don't want to be arrogant to the point where you think you know more than doctors. In this life, we only have but so much time to research so many things, and we should defer to professionals about things that are kind of over our head. And I'm not saying that, an expert can't be wrong, but you need to be an expert to be disagreeing with experts. You get what I'm trying to say?
I disagree. I
Mm.
disagree. I think everybody's entitled for their opinion. You don't have to feel like, that was the case. We'll have experts telling us everything what to do. And it's nothing wrong with that, but we do need a voice and opinion because, can't just leave it
Yeah,
up to people who
yeah,
are
but
experts.
when you voice an opinion, you should kind of speak from a place of knowledge. If this is not research, it's not. If this is not a subject that you've researched deeply, and this is about a medical thing, a medical procedure, this has to do with stuff that you kind of don't know about. It's kind of
Well, I'm
arrogant to
not against,
disagree with experts about it, like to think
well,
that people just need to love themselves, like this is all
yeah,
unnecessary. You like
I'm
you
against
you
women
have the
getting their
answer
cars
that could
ripped.
you have
Yeah.
the answer that could just turn science up on its head, because breaking news, Bobby just thinks everybody should love themselves. You know what I'm saying? We could just
No,
pack all this stuff up. We don't need gender affirming
no, I'm
care.
just an opinion. Right. I'm just an opinion. Who am I? You don't gotta.
Yeah, but that's interesting. That's why this stuff works. I mean, people don't really know a lot. I think people are dealing with low information, and they take
So you're
advantage of
okay
that.
with
And
this.
they Yeah, I
You're
don't have
okay
no
with
problem with gender affirming care. I have a problem with them cutting off access to gender affirming care, actually. you know and
wow.
and honestly, at the
Wow.
yeah, I have a
That's
pro I have
big.
a pro yeah, I don't have a problem with this at all. This is stuff that, is science. I'm somebody who can accept science. I defer to experts when it's things that is beyond the the limits of my conceptual understanding. I know enough to know that I don't know enough about this subject, and I can't just disagree with the consensus of scientists because I got an opinion. Everybody's opinion don't weigh the same on every issue. But the interesting thing about this is this bill is unlikely to pass. This is just something that kind of gets people excited, and it ain't gonna work. And there's actually good arguments against stuff like this, or at least good questions that need to be answered. There's some studies out there that say that puberty blockers might cause health effects like osteoporosis in the long run. And some people, it's not like something is confirmed. Some of the studies aren't even finished yet, but that's something that would be a valid thing to talk about. But a lot of people who are weighing in on this subject, they're not really speaking from a place of knowledge. They're not open minded to trying to understand it. They're just coming from what they've been conditioned to think, like knee jerk reactions to this shit, in my opinion. So,
Okay. Well, I
mm,
mean, we can look at it as women in this society have been getting large butt implants, and has been, a lot of them has been botched. A lot of women have been passing away from some of these incidents. I can't put a number on it, but we can see how sometimes when you're trying to put surgery on yourself that's not needed, it could be issues. So it's better to love yourself. You don't have to be, you don't have to have no, you don't have to have the society tell you what you need to look. And that's seems like where we going. People need
and that's
clarity
like
from outside people who don't care about them.
that's like a totally different thing, though. The gender affirming care, and that kind of
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. That's
shows
total
that
thing. But
that
I'm
just
saying
shows
that it's in
how
the same way of people that they look at themselves and they don't, you know, they want
that's
to
a
get.
that's different, man. That's different. That's like a cosmetic procedure, you know what I'm saying? Like there might be somebody that was born a female but produces way more testosterone and has always felt like a man, like in their mind. I'm just putting it in simple terms, but it's way more complex than that. You know what I'm saying? Like people got different things going on that you might not be privy to. You know what I'm saying? You might not have read up on this stuff, but it's a lot of great reasons for gender affirmative care, and it helps people. And when people don't get this, there's actually a high rate of suicide. So this could be like a life and death type of thing for a lot of people. So I say let people
Mm,
do what they want to do. They're not hurting anybody by doing this. Is doctors backing it up? I'll leave it to doctors. I don't think I want even if it's something that I don't want to do, or maybe I don't think people should do it. I don't like the idea of the government being involved with something I want to do with my body, or the next person want to do with their body. So long as they not hurting nobody else, I'm not for that, dog. That's like a
what
scary
about
type of thing.
kids? What about kids?
But
Because
this
I'm
is
gonna pull up.
actually this is for the adults. So you find for this about adults, but not kids.
Yeah, if you grown, you can do what you want to do to your body.
Okay, so we could at least.
I'm not co-signing it. I wouldn't want you to
Uh,
feel like you have to do that. I still want you to
well,
love yourself, but like you said, I don't know what's going on in their
that's
head.
fine. So you're at least against half of this, or part of this, because they're trying to stop it for people of all ages. So you're against the part where they're trying to stop adults. You're fine with adults having gender affirming care, correct?
No, I'm not against it. I can understand if an adult making a decision, they should be able to do it.
Okay,
But
fine.
because the kids, I would say where, yeah, I would go with, listen, it's just for the
Well, I'm
grown-ups
not.
to be able to do what they want to do. But
That's
if it's
cool.
going to affect the kids, yeah, we may need to do some research to see if this is affecting kids that make them want to do the same thing. I wouldn't be all right with
All right. Well, there you have it. You set it off.
But hold on.
I mean,
I
we don't
want
got to spend all night on this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to change your mind, but go ahead.
no. I just wanted you. What do you feel about the rise in transgender and young people in the United States? Says the New York Times.
I didn't read that, so I don't really know what you're talking about. I have to, look into it, get back to you on that.
Okay, you have to look into me and get back to me on that.
Yeah, I don't
I
have
give
no
you
idea
I
what you're
give you
talking
some
about.
stats. Can you see the screen here?
Not really.
Okay, well, a number of young people who identify as transgender has nearly doubled in recent years, according to a new report that captures a stark generational shift in emerging societal embrace of a diversity of gender identities.
Societal embrace. Yeah. Go.
So the analysis relying on government health surveys conducted from 2017 to 2020 estimated that 1.4% of 13 to 17-year-olds and 1.3% of 18 to 24-year-olds were transgender, compared to about 0.5% of all adults. So what this is saying that is we're getting more and more transgenders, kids that want to be transgender. Do you feel
Or
like that's an influence?
identifying. I don't know if they want to be, but they're
They're
identifying as
identifying.
transgender. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a rise. We're rising. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like this could be something as an influence that could be the kids, or you think we just living in a day where it's more people that just want to change they want to change their they just want to change their gender.
I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how long they've even been recording this, so numbers go up and down. I don't know if we have enough information to really extrapolate much from that. It's interesting to look at, but I mean, there might have been people who felt like that back in the day and couldn't really come out and say it. They said that there's a societal embrace of a diversity of gender identities. There was a point where it wasn't embraced. So maybe people
Right.
just kept it to themselves back in the day. So, and then honestly, we have a population growing every year. Just like you'll notice in presidential races, they'll say stuff like, oh, more people voted in this election than ever before, record numbers. That's because we got a growing population. Or they'll say, oh, you know more jobs, more people working than ever, what I'm saying, and breaking the records and stuff like that. That's because population keeps growing. So I don't know if it lines up with that. uh, the big takeaway that I got from that is, society is embracing people to have different gender identities. I think we're getting a better understanding of gender as we progress, as we should. That's how science works. So that's all I could really take from that little bit we read.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? Does that scare you? Do you think it's part of a conspiracy?
Uh, I would have to have more research to understand, but I'm thinking that maybe
Mm.
because it's more transgender that's being seen and out, that maybe we have more kids that get influenced. It's just like, when I was watching Michael Jordan coming up, I want to shoot like Mike. That was somebody that I seen on screen, so he had an influence in me playing basketball. So I'm pretty sure if somebody as a kid and they see something, maybe they're influenced more by that person because they're transgender and I want to be like that, so maybe that could be the rise in, a lot of kids turning to transgender. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but they still said it's like 1.4%, right? That doesn't seem like a whole lot of people to me. It's like
Yeah, it's not a
about
lot of people,
like
but
1 out of 10 people. I don't
not
know.
a
It seems
hundred.
like
Yeah.
seems like I just would be curious to see why isn't all this the heterosexual relationships that that person would be seeing on TV and in their just everyday life. Why isn't that influencing them? Why does the influence of a I guess seeing a transgender person, I mean, seeing 1 out of 100 people is such a big influence that it makes somebody want to be transgender who wasn't transgender. I don't really understand what you're saying. Really. Like, like you is that how
Uh,
it works? Like it like do you get influenced to be trans? Or let me ask you that: is that how you think it works? Do you think that transgender is something that you kind of just like it's contagious? Like if you see somebody transgender, then you might want to become transgender.
I think a child mind. I think minds when you are a child, when you are under the age. This is why we can't let kids drink. We don't let kids. It's PG-13 and watching certain things. You don't have. They have certain things that they don't let kids absorb because of the influence. So I think if you have kids seeing and understanding and knowing that there's transgender and you can change and be a man and then be a woman, I think that it may spark a rise in kids that want to do that. You know, yeah.
Yeah, that understand like that helps me understand where you're coming from with stuff like that. I feel like you just want to protect kids. Like you think that you could stop them from being transgender because being transgender would be a bad thing to you, right?
I think teaching our kids to be confident in who they are and loving themselves is important. I don't want a kid that be always feeling like they got to hold up to somebody else's standard. So I think just the preaching of self love is just I feel like is more important than we just feeling like we want to have to change everything about ourselves that we don't like what we see. We can't love what we were given. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Well, that's all I really got to say about that.
Yeah. Hey man, let me know what y'all think about this. Am I way left? Am I just, being hard on the transgenders or, are these stats and numbers, because they did do a study. We went over some studies that's going on and they got kids that's being transgender from the age of 3 to 12 and it's an average of 6.5, age of 6.5. So what the New York Times reported. So, I feel like this is something that's a real touchy subject. And I would like to hear y'all opinion. I would like to hear what y'all think about this. So go ahead and close them out, y'all.
Hey, good night, folks. See you next time.
Peace.
Yeah.